Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of May. Hope you're well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today, and I should just say, like right at the start of this video, I sat down to do the meditation for your sign, as I do before I do any of the readings, and absolute pandemonium kicked off outside. The crows, which are usually quite quiet up until about dusk, started squawking really loudly, and they're still sort of doing it a little bit. A helicopter appeared, there was loads and loads of traffic, and I was just like, really? So already, actually by the time I finished the meditation it was still going on, and I had to sit for like 2 or 3 minutes to wait for it to all subside. So, taking as I do everything that comes through as a sign, I wonder if perhaps May is a month where, you know, there is some pandemonium for you. Let's have a look at the cards and see what's on the table here. I should just say, if this reading resonates with you, there will be an extended at the end of the description box. The link will be in the description box. So let's have a look. I have 3 cards for Sagittarius, please. The first one that we have is Death, card of Scorpio in your recent past. We have present energy for Sagittarius. We have the Queen of Pentacles. And what's coming towards Sagittarius for May, please? Oh, we have 2 cards gambled out together. We have the 8 of Pentacles and we have the 2 of Pentacles. Interesting. We have the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, followed by the Queen of Wands. Interestingly, that's it's Aries energy, but there's a process here, Sag. That's how it feels. The Ace of Wands, like all of the aces, right, contains the full potentiality of the element that it represents, right? So with the Ace of Wands, we've got the full gamut of the Wands suit, and you're a fire sign, Wands are yours. The Ace of Wands is like a reinvigoration, right, in the way that you live your life. Sometimes it can be finding that real will to live, you know, the drive to succeed. It can sometimes be, you know, creative potential. Fucking believe it, right? So I started recording videos, these videos, about 2 hours ago, and I lit a bundle of sage, a brand new bundle of sage. The reason that I don't work with sage very often is because for some reason my fire sign self, once I light the sage, I can't put it out again. As you can see, it's just doing its thing. I'm basically hotboxing myself in this library, right? So I may have to open the window again at some point. I've tried everything to put it out and I can't do it, and this is what happens when I burn sage. So that's a full 7-inch bundle that's now almost half burned down. But interestingly, as it relates to your reading, because it just does seem to have just like started, you know, throwing smoke out everywhere, this is for cleansing. This is for purifying the air and the energy around me, right? And that's the feeling that I'm getting off your reading here. It does feel like there's an element of chaos here, but I wonder if the chaos is what you're leaving behind, Sagittarius. Let's get some clarifiers. Tell me about Death, please. We have the 9 of Pentacles. About Death. And the Knight of Swords. Tell me about the Queen of Pentacles, please. Thank you. We have the World. And we have the Lovers card. Stunning. Tell me about the 8 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles, please. We have the Page of Wands. Oh, and the Ace of Cups and the High Priestess. Wow. We have the Strength card at the bottom of the deck. Card of Leo, so your sister fire sign. Right? And it could be that there's a Leo around you who's important at the moment, or it could just be that you are really exemplifying Leo energy. Because there's a profound shift that's going on here, Sag, and no mistake, right? The Death card is the card of Scorpio, like I said, but it's a card that represents transformation, right? It can sometimes be endings, it can sometimes be, you know, things just ceasing to be anymore. Closing out old cycles, or that energy kind of coming in, taking away the things that you don't need. But for you, this all feels like it's happening on an extremely internal level. Like whatever is going on for you this month, or in fact, you know, recently, it almost seems like there's been an element of you that has been opened up, right? And we've spoken before about how Sagittarians tend to keep their, you know, emotional state, everything to do with their emotions, basically parceled up and kept somewhere safe. It feels like a liberation. It feels like you've finally kind of dug this out from underneath the bed and tapped it and gone, right, I've been a bit afraid to address this for a while, but I'm going to kind of pull it open. I'm going to see what it contains, because, you know, I may be 10, 20, 30 years down the line from, you know, where I started putting things in here, and I have grown and I have matured. And more importantly, I feel safe now to be able to do this. I feel strong enough to be able to do this. I'm gonna, just bear with me a second. I'm gonna try depriving it of oxygen and see if that makes any difference. It might just fucking pop off later, right? It's a liberation, it's a release. It feels like a release of tension too. Because I'm staring at this death card here, right? And I've joked about how Sagittarians are incredibly zoomy, right? It's what they do, they zoom around. Like, you know, I've got a couple of significant Sagittarians in my life, and I've witnessed it firsthand, right? Always very fast, always moving in a direction. And do you know what? As I'm looking at this card here, and I've got this dead crow at the bottom and this one being released, it's almost like the zoomy directions that you've been going in. Like you've absolutely flogged this crow body, right, to death in zooming in different directions, and it's stopped and it's ended. And now what's happening is this release up, right? You don't need to zoom in lots and lots of different directions. You can just ascend, you can elevate. It's a leaving behind of a lot of things that you have not realized that you were carrying around with you, right? You've been dragging them behind you, like Robert Bly says, like a big bag, right, of stuff that you've been zooming around with, and you've not even known that you were doing that. It's almost like you stopped and put the bag down and gone, oh God, do you know what? Like, now I've stopped doing that, I can actually just go up and I can just kind of float around, and that's absolutely fine, you know? We've got the Nine of Pentacles here and the Knight of Swords. And interestingly, I feel like you've begun to open up, right? It could be that you've spoken to somebody who is significant to you about the things that the things that worry you, the things that you've kind of zoomed away from your entire life. And like I said, there's this kind of quiet resolve to stop and just look at these things. Yeah, look at the content of your bag and go, do you know, I don't need any of this stuff anymore. It's not really important, but it's showing you something about yourself. That it feels this kind of blown your mind a little bit, Sag. I think I mentioned in a previous monthly reading that I did for you not too long ago, it'll have been in the last couple of months, that you've been kind of surprised by your own depth, which is not to say that you're shallow, or not to say that you particularly thought that you were shallow, but just that you perceived a depth in other people that you'd kind of noticed was not present in you, or kind of like a sideways kind of vague acknowledgement that maybe you didn't, you know, feel things as deeply or think things as deeply and stuff like that. And it feels like the revelation that you've had, what this death card is saying to you, is actually, it's always been there. You are the philosophers of the zodiac, don't forget that, right? It has always been there, but for whatever reason you have chosen not to access it, and now you're sitting here and you are accessing it, and the empowerment is palpable. It's tremendous. Not only that, you feel safe to open up about this, right? Communicate this to other people. You've realized that there is no threat now, and it could be that it is because you've taken yourself out of a threatening situation, you know, whatever that was, whether that was, you know, let's say marriage that wasn't working very well or something like that, you know, that you'd been in for a long time, maybe a group of people that were quite toxic, maybe even work or something like that, although I can't see that bothering you quite to this degree, you know. It's almost like you finally noticed how strong you are, how capable you are, how much you've dealt with, and how successful you are out the other side. Oh, this night, thank you. The Two of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. That's astonishing. Yeah. I say it's astonishing because you've got the Two of Pentacles coming out again. Eight of Swords and the Emperor. Like, we've got the Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Like, your mind has really been opened recently. Like, it feels like the whole thing's just cracked open. And there's been an understanding of where you have been unsettled, destabilized, where you have chosen not to look at things, not to deal with things, you know, particularly with regard to structures that you have had around you, whether they have been marriages, friendship groups, work situations, or even just the way that you know, the parameters, right, that you as a Sagittarius have kind of erected around you, right? And this is the life that I live, right, is in the middle of here. These are the edges of it, you know, and other people, you know, feel things very deeply and do stuff, and that's their business. And some people sit and they think very hard about things, and that's what they do. I zoom, that's what I do, right? The nature of everything that you've had in your mind, right? We've got this Eight of Swords, right? It's been limited by something, right? And possibly it's because other people told you that you weren't this, or you weren't that, or you weren't the other, right? But you see how you've internalized a lot of that, and you've made it your reality. And it feels like this most tremendous kind of bursting out of it here, even down to how capable you actually are as a person, right? It's been so much of a standing joke that you're basically a big child and you can't do things for yourself, and you need someone to come and clear up after you because you're zooming around and doing the exciting things, you know. And you've actually stopped and looked at it, you've gone, no, you know. I feel like there's been an infantilizing kind of critical presence around you for a long time that has told you that you can't do this, or you can't do that, or you can't do the other, or that you are irresponsible and you are reckless and you are this thing and you're not grown up and all that kind of thing. And this here, you know, we leap from the Page of the Swords straight up to the King with the Three of Wands behind it. Oh, and the Ace of Wands, actually. Look at that, that's beautiful. It does feel like you with this new information that you've got, and by new information I mean this kind of realization of the fact that you are capable and you are, you know, all of these things that I've discussed, you've gone straight up to a King of Swords, right? Because you trust it now. You know, you can see where you have been led astray internally by other people's projections onto you, other people's interpretations of your energy, and you see it very clearly for what it is now. But you also see very clearly that you're actually incredibly good at all sorts of things. Well, I don't mean this in a kind of like flat 3D way, although that absolutely might be the case. You know, you might have a very good job, you might run a very successful business, you might actually be better with money than you ever thought that you were. But it's like the way that you show up in the world with this Three of Wands here is from a place of actually some really quite incredible wisdom and insight. You're very good at reading people and reading situations. And then we've got the Ace of Wands here, right? It feels like it's given you a new resolve moving forwards, a new way to engage with life, and on a level that you have created, and not one that is reactive to other people's interpretations. You know, it's sloughing off a skin that was never yours, Sagittarius, which is amazing. I love this for you. So in your current energy, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. And this is important because I feel like it very much feeds in to this sense of the emotional unlocking that you're experiencing now, right? The Queen of Pentacles for me, she's a Capricorn card, but she talks very much all about, you know, the care of the self, the nurturing, all that sort of thing here. Interestingly, in the Crow Tarot, there is this wand at the side with a butterfly atop it, right? Now, butterflies are symbols of transformation, just as death is there. And then we've got this wand. Like, why is there a wand on the Pentacles card? I don't know, but here she is, right? Here it is, rather, with this queen. You know, we've got the pentacle very clearly depicted, but here's this wand at the side, right? It's transforming the way that you are showing up in the world. It's transforming the way that you are actually living your life and engaging with your life. And this is so important because we've got the World card and we've got the Lovers here. Like, you have actively closed a chapter of your life, right? And freed yourself from it, more importantly. And now, with this Lovers card, which is, you know, Gemini energy right here, it's a card of conscious co-creation. It's a card of you making decisions about things because you can, because you actually always could. It was other people around you who told you that you couldn't. And there's a feeling here. I'm looking at all these naked bodies on these cards here, right? It's just nudity everywhere. It feels like you are showing up in the world, Sagittarius, in the cleanest way that you have done ever, right? By clean, I mean the purest way, like the fundamentally Sagittarius way, rather than internalized reactions and, you know, learned behaviors, learned responses. But you internalizing what everybody else has said for you. It's almost like you've been wearing a suit that didn't fit. You know, it was really uncomfortable. Whether that's like a business suit or whether that's like, you know fucking, you know, Teletubbies suit or something. Like, it's not you. It's never been you. And what is now you is actually being laid bare for the whole world to see. And what I love about it is she's so absolutely fucking unapologetic about it. It's like, now here I am. There we go. Here I am. Look at the World and the Lovers, please. Got the Six of Swords. There is something really profound being left behind for you here. It might be a Virgo, actually, because we've got the Six of Swords, we've got the Knight of Rings, which is the Knight of Pentacles, a Virgo card, and then we've got the Four of Swords. We've got the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, not the first time that she's appearing in this reading for you, because she is down here too. With the Eight of Wands and the Hanged Man. Oh, lots of Piscean energy. And the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups and the Four of Cups down here. Now, Sag, I think this is really important because I think that a lot of what has come up for you, and it's possible that it came up with the Scorpio full moon, right? Because that's about really digging deep. And I feel like you're doing that now. Is a sense of grief, right? The Five of Cups is all about grief that we carry around with us. It is about being stuck in that energy of not being able to see that there are, you know, two cups still remaining. It deals with themes of loss. But we also have the Four of Cups underneath there, which is a feeling of being taken for granted. It is a feeling of rejection. It is talking about abandonment issues. I think that whatever cycle that you've broken out of yourself, like out of, you know, in this last year, you were breaking out of it, but this feels like a true tying up of the loose ends. It started in childhood, and it just reached a bit of a shrieking crescendo until it got to the point where you were unable to function in anymore, right? You know, so these childhood issues have kind of dictated the way that you have gone into relationships, how you've reacted in relationships moving forwards, and you've carried all of that. That's that bag, right, that you've been dragging along behind you. And it's full of abandonment and rejection and emotional isolation, to the point where you decided that emotions were not a safe thing for you to have, and that's why you hid them away, you know. But this Five of Cups is a Scorpio card as well. It's like dragging this up from the depths and looking at how very fucking wounded you have been your entire life. You've changed your perspective on an awful lot of things, and not least the zooming. We've got the Eight of Wands there, right, which is my card of momentum and forward travel and, you know, going really fast. But because it's not major arcana, it's minor arcana, it's about the way that you are doing these things, or, you know, kind of day-to-day shit. We've got this Hanged Man and the High Priestess flanking this Eight of Wands here. It's a change in perspective. It is an acknowledgement of the wisdom that resides within, and an acknowledgement of how painful these issues have been that you've been carrying around with you. Now, we've got the Six of Swords in your current energy. You know, there is definite movement here. We have the completion indicated with the World card. And we have you coming into alignment with new energies, new ways of showing up in the world, and new ways of treating yourself, more importantly. Shut that. Right, understanding your own value, which is something that you've never really had a hold on particularly well. Like, that is front and foremost for you. But we've got this Knight of Pentacles, which may or may not indicate a Virgo. I remember Sagittarians were having a big beef with Virgos last year, right? If that's you, then we've got a real moving away from that sort of situation here. But if it's not, it's about really understanding what is important and holding that up in front of you, you know, and going, right, this is what my life is about. This is my value. These are the things that I value, and I want my life to be full of these moving forwards, right? And then we've got the Four of Swords. There is something really quite reflective in your energy at the moment, right? You've done your digging, and now it's about processing what has come up in that. And I do feel like you're processing it, and I do feel like you're letting it go. And I really do feel like this sense of personal empowerment that has come from this has been absolutely extraordinary for you. You know? So what we've got coming towards you for May is the Eight of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. So it could well talk about the fact that there might be more work here to do with leveling yourself out that we're seeing in the month of May. That's entirely possible, you know, because this work is never done. And the only way that you get good at it is by doing it repeatedly, right? So what I mean by this work is never done is that you will deal with the obvious things first. And then once you've done that and you kind of incorporated all the wisdom into yourself, you find yourself kind of getting quicker at catching your own reactions, your own projections, all those kind of things. You find yourself being quicker at being able to reflect until you get to the point where you're kind of reflecting on the fly with these things, you know. More of the same, right? More on your own internal balancing. It feels like there's more for you to pull out. But the majority of the really obvious stuff, and possibly the stuff that relates to self-sabotage, feels like it's completing. Like you've done enough of this work now that this cycle has closed. There's going to be more to do with the start of the new cycle, and that, I mean, that's here too. But there's a level of nuance that you can apply to it now. Now you've had these really interesting kind of, maybe epiphanies, maybe you've had some full-on epiphanies about things. Now you've had those. Like I said, it's about getting really nuanced, it's getting really refined about the way that your emotional space is becoming available to you, because it is becoming available to you. We've got that Ace of Cups there. But I actually feel like a level of excitement about the possibility of engaging with this, right? I said this excitement at discovering your own depths, which is not something that you particularly hankered after at any point. But it's been truly extraordinary to recognize this within yourself. An excitement about purging all of the things that have held you back, all of the things that have wounded you. And I'd absolutely feel like the, you know, low level anxiety possibly that you've been experiencing about, well, about anything at any other point in your life, you know. We could be seeing that starting to recede now, yeah. Seven of Cups, any emotional turmoil, confusion, illusion, that sort of thing, yeah. That's all starting to come to a place where you can deal with it easily. Like, it doesn't wound. We've got the Death card at the bottom of the deck, further transformation. But we've got Seven of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles there, right? What it is that you're working on is really clarifying your internal space, knowing what you stand for, emotionally, knowing what you want emotionally, knowing what feels good to you emotionally. And then we've got the High Priestess again, you know, that internal wisdom. And it's deep feminine wisdom, Sagittarius, regardless if you're whether you're a man or a woman, or, you know, however you identify. We all have masculine and feminine energies within us. And, you know, the masculine energy is active, right? Doing things, always going after stuff. Well, you've got that nailed. You understand that, right? If a Sagittarius wants something, goes and gets it, right? It's very masculine. What you've been suffering a deficit of is the passive, is that innate understanding, is that comfort with emotions, right? So you've been kind of at this point for a long time. What you've done recently is bring it up to about here. Like what you'll continue to do in the month of May is really start to equalize that out for you. Now this feels, I'm sure if any other sign watched this, they'd just be like, oh, well, you know, that's not very much going on for them. But like, understand the profundity of what this is to a Sagittarius, because there are no aspects of your life that are untouched by this. You know, touched upon self-sabotage earlier, which is something that, you know, is very much present in the Sagittarius experience. You and Scorpio, you know, you're kind of neighbours in the zodiac here, and the crossover between the two of you is quite strong. When you really sit down and think about it, like there's quite a profound overlap in places. But just as they seem to be doing, you know, their work when it comes to that, so do you. I mean, that is High Priestess. Yeah. Ten of Wands in reverse. It's like letting go of the burdens, letting go of, and there's the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck as well, letting go of all of the things that have held you back, held you down, kept you nailed in one place. The card that's come up with that is the Justice card. It's bringing that balance in. This is a big month for you, Sagittarius. Right? It might not be that you have anything, you know, there's the Three of Swords that fell out to the side as well. It might not be a month where much happens outside of you. You know, it would be lovely to say, oh, you've got new people coming in, there's new love for you, you know, all of these things, you know, those big things that we like. But the nature of this is so much more profound, and it will, there's the World card at the bottom of the deck as well. What you are tying up here, what you are leaving behind, the insights that you are getting into yourself, right? They're going to change the way that you engage with the world moving forwards, right? So having a much, much clearer idea of what you want and what will make you happy, really working in alignment with those energies that want to give you everything. Like, fucking hell. They've got the Lovers card underneath the World there, right? World and the Lovers. World and the Lovers. It feels like there are big things afoot for you, Sagittarius. If I'm quite honest, it feels like there are big things coming in, but in order to achieve them, you have to have a better idea of your own power, of your own capabilities. You know, you need to be coming from a really strong, empowered place that draws on every element that is available to you, right? Magician energy. Because the emotional side has always been working at a deficit for you. So no matter how, you know, successful you feel like you've been in the past, it feels like it's going to step up a level in the second half of 2021, right? I'm going that far out on this one because there's so much work done here. There's so much alignment going on. There's so much new going on. And all of this stuff, Sag, is coming from inside you. It's nothing to do with what's outside. It's about inside. You know, that's the place of manifestation. That's the place of setting intent. And you align all of that with the energy that is available, and you will do big things. And with this kind of groundwork, there's always something big at the end of it. You know, whether it is the ability to be able to truly enjoy your life, that's huge. So many people don't. Or whether it is that you have a plan for something moving forwards. Like, this is the first steps in making that happen. And you just needed to know how powerful you were, so that you could work with all of the elements. This is amazing. I love it. Right, if this has resonated with you, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now and kind of pull this apart a little bit more. I want to look at May in more detail and see if we can't, you know, get some more information, get some advice, maybe get something a little bit more, or a little less abstract and a little bit more specific. So if you're interested in that, links in the description box. Big month, Saggy. I like it a lot. Right. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.